Welcome back, my beautiful humans, to another episode of If I Die Tomorrow. I'm your host, Nicole, and I owe you an apology. I am really sorry. I did not put out an episode. I told you guys that I was going to take a week off at some point, but that I would let you know. And I didn't, because that was not the week I was going to take off. Life lifed really hard. I got extremely sunburned the weekend, spending time with my husband and enjoying life, living it. And then I was going to record, and I went out to help with some yard work first. And I got into a nest of bees. I'm allergic. I got nailed probably 6 times. I still have some swelling and itching, and oh, it's hard. So I have the itching from the sunburn peeling. I'm doing so good with that one. And then the itching from the stings. I still have some of that. They say it's because, I got a lot of venom from the 6 stings or whatever. And I don't understand it. I don't care. It just happened. And it made me miss last week. So I'm sorry. And you probably didn't even need to hear all of that. But I told you anyway. Because that's who I am. Now that I got all of that out of the way, I would like to say I hope everybody is faring well. I think the heat has started to come down some. Which, I like warm. Some of the warm was a little bit too warm even for me, but I'm really glad that you are joining me today. And before we get going further, because I have already bleh, let's just take a second and drop our shoulders, unclench our jaw, and let out a really big, deep breath. Exhale all of the crap. Because we all have enough of it on our plates. And sometimes we just need somebody to remember that it's okay to just let it out. We're going to try and enjoy being here right now together. Today's episode is about carrying it's carrying a slightly different energy than some of my more melancholy or I'm going to cry, because I do that a lot, but I also explained that to you as well. But this is more about joy and honesty and celebrating things that you wouldn't think to normally celebrate. I'm going to tell you, I have found myself thinking about time and numbers. And as humans, our brains, and part of it is conditioning as well. We round to celebrate the milestones. I mean, normally it's in even numbers, but as we're growing up, the first birthday, huge celebration. 8th birthday, not so much. 13th, big, you're a teenager. 16th, well, actually 15th, especially for some cultures. 16th, yep, another big one. If you're lucky, you get the big celebration 15 and 16. Okay. And 18, some of that might depend on your family dynamics. Mine, and sometimes because where that birthday falls, it kind of falls around, when you like graduate. So, next one is 21. Then after that, we don't go, ooh, let's have a big party. I celebrated, 22. No. 24? No. 30? Yep. Need one for that. 40? Absolutely. 50? Mm-hmm. 60? Sure. But it's not 62. It's not 57. I mean, we don't celebrate that. I will say this. My stepdad, he is a twin. Both he and his brother are alive, well and kicking. They're going to turn 100 this year, which is amazing. They both served in World War II. And the odds of twin brothers or twins and went through a war still alive to celebrate their 100th birthday is like astronomical. So it's crazy to me. Is that a milestone that should absolutely be celebrated? You're not joking. It should be. But again, we round it there. You know what I mean? It's 100, which is fantastic. I mean, this year marked 250 years. We celebrated that. You know what I mean? We celebrate every July 4th, but, you know, it's not as big of a celebration. Does that make sense? You know, we like to compartmentalize that kind of stuff and add specific things. You know, like they have those, like the silver and gold and, you know, your 25th and your 50th, blah, 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 you know, your anniversaries. But I want to say that the in-between numbers, the random, messy, ordinary numbers like 17 or 28, 43, those numbers don't get the Hallmark card. They don't get the big celebration. But they're the spaces where life actually happens. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about radical celebration, which is odd, I know. But if you've been with me since the beginning, you understand that that's part of who I am. But we're talking about why we need to stop waiting for perfect, I hate that word, milestones to experience joy. And you're going to say, if you hate that word so much, why do you use it? Well, because it's easily identifiable. It's easily identifiable for other people to understand the sentiment that I'm giving. But I'm going to tell you that if we look at life through the lens of our core question of, if I die tomorrow, I can promise you one thing, which I don't normally promise things. I don't want to leave behind a closet full of unused, saved up joy. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, and I promise it'll make sense further on. But I learned when I was young not to bet more than I was willing to lose. And I know I'm talking about, you know, milestones and not leaving behind a closet full of unused joy. But when I was younger, or when I was young, I had lost a tooth. And I'm my age, we got 50-cent pieces for our lost tooth. And it was the coolest thing, and I thought it was awesome. But I got it, and I lost it all within the span of 24 hours because I came out and I swore I was so hungry, and my mom was making pancakes that I could eat 8 of them. There was no way I was eating 8. And my sister bet me my 50-cent piece. And so I sat at a kitchen table staring at this point cold pancakes, trying to eat till I got to 8 without getting sick. And I just couldn't do it. And I had to give up. And then I cried because my mom made me give her my 50-cent piece. And at the time I wasn't happy about it, but it taught me a very valuable lesson. So Mom, if you're listening, thank you. I probably never thanked you for that lesson. But it reminded me to never bet more than I was willing to lose. And actually, it makes a lot of sense when it comes to this life and my question of if I die tomorrow. Because am I willing to lose some of the joy today because I'm saving it for later? We all go through the good China syndrome. Most of us in our homes, we have things or in our lives that we're saving for a special occasion. Maybe it's a literal set of plates, the fine china. We only get that out for special occasions. Or maybe it's an expensive bottle of wine, specialty coffee, bottle of perfume or cologne. Or maybe it's a gorgeous outfit that you have hanging in your closet with the tag still on it. Or a luxury bath product that you're just waiting to use. And we look at those things and we say, nope, can't use that today. Today's just a regular Tuesday. We're going to save it for when something big happens. Here's the trick that our minds play on us. By constantly deferring our joy to some imaginary future date that we don't know if we're actually going to see, we're subconsciously telling ourselves that the present moment, right here, right now, isn't worthy. Again, we tell ourselves a lot of crap that we believe. We treat the current day like it's a rehearsal as we're preparing for the real show. This is our life every single day. It doesn't get more real. This is the real show. Objectivity really tells us, honestly, that our time is finite. And if we're constantly hoarding the good stuff for a perfect future, you're betting on a guarantee that none of us actually have. Because I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I don't know if you will. I don't know if some of the people that I would want to celebrate with are going to. If I die tomorrow, that expensive bottle of wine is just going to get drunk by somebody who's cleaning my house that probably won't even appreciate it. Yeah, it puts it to a little bit more perspective. Or you could be thinking it would be drunk by the person that you least want them to have because, well, that's a whole nother episode. But when we wait for those milestones, the promotion, the round number anniversary, the perfect weather, the weight loss, the clean house, we miss the actual textures of the life we're living and building today. Celebration shouldn't be a rare reward. It should be a daily practice. Think about how we construct our memories. When we look back on our lives or look forward to the future, we tend to already put in place timelines for major peaks. The graduation, the wedding, buying a house, having a baby, taking the big vacation, going to that funeral. But life isn't actually lived on the peaks. Nope. Life is lived in the valley and the hills, the ascents and the descents. If we're lucky, sometimes we just get a flat land that we can just cruise right across. But it's lived in massive spaces between all of these big days that we tell ourselves we need to wait for. If we only allow ourselves to celebrate on major milestones, we miss thousands of opportunity for joy. We're already mean enough to ourselves on a daily. And I know we all don't want to admit that, but it's true. You know, a decade of friendship isn't built on that one 10-year mark. It's built on the ordinary, thousands of ordinary text messages, inside jokes, and days where you laughed so hard your stomach ached or you peed a little. It's the random Tuesdays when we finally solved a problem that has been driving everybody crazy at work. The secret sauce to a rich, meaningful life is to celebrate all those micro wins in the ordinary spaces. You know, let's actually think about some of the everyday, ordinary, mundane things that deserve a high five. How about making it through an insanely stressful day at work, or at home, or with your toddler, or any of your children, even your spouse? Actually, let's add one more in there. Yourself. And let's celebrate it by ordering takeout and eating it in our sweatpants. Or finally tackling that paper, the stack of paper that has been piled up for too long. Or the messy closet that you swore you would get to organize, and it's been staring at you laughing. The simple fact that you and a friend or a loved one made each other laugh in the middle of the mundane. When we bring this back to legacy, you want people to feel when they remember you, not just a memory of never having a messy house. You want them to feel, and if you've been here with me from the beginning, we talked about emotion and how it creates such a connection that is hard to shake. Because you don't want them to remember life was rigid with you, or that you were always waiting for the perfect condition to be happy. You want them to remember someone who infused the ordinary with a sense of wonder. When we celebrate the in-between moments, we're actively practicing gratitude. Something that once we start noticing and practicing becomes easier to see and find. We're looking at our messy, imperfect, ordinary lives and saying, this is enough, and it's worth a celebration and acknowledgement. So, how can we actually practice radical celebration without looking entirely ridiculous or breaking the bank? First of all, I'm going to say, I don't really worry anymore about looking ridiculous. And I should be. No, actually, I was going to say I should be ashamed to say that, but I'm not. And I shouldn't be. Because I'm okay with being exactly who I am. And if anybody knows me from my childhood and growing up, yeah, ridiculous happened a lot. And you just learn to be okay. But I'm going to say it starts by lowering the bar on what qualifies as a celebration. Celebration doesn't require a catering order or a rental hall or a balloon arch or even a massive budget. It requires a shift in your attention, and it means taking ordinary moment and giving it a little extra love. You can do that. I know you can. And here's a few ways that you can actually do this. Use the good stuff. You're having pizza? Break out the good china. Put that pizza right on there. It's okay. I promise. You want to wear the bright lipstick? Wear it. You want to wear the favorite shirt? Wear it. Eat your morning cereal in the fancy bowl. Yeah. Bring the joy into your now moment, not a future moment. Celebrate the invisible triumphs. If you have anxiety, celebrate it. Celebrate the fact that you finally returned a phone call from 2 weeks ago. Put on your favorite song, dance in the kitchen, just because. Acknowledge your in-between milestones. Call up a friend to just say, hey, we've been friends for 11 and a half years, and I think you're great. Celebrate your 34th and your 52nd birthday with the same amount of joy as your 30th or 50th. When we give ourselves permission to celebrate the ordinary, we release the pressure of perfection. Again, with that word. We stop demanding that life actually be flawless. If I meet anyone who's ever had a flawless life, I will probably faint. If you are one of the few that have a flawless life, let me know. I'd love to chat. But anyway, once we stop demanding a flawless life, we allow ourselves to be happy in this one. And as I was sitting here thinking about this topic, numbers and celebrations and the good China syndrome, I was looking at how fast time truly flies. And it flies really fast. I mean, we're already towards the end of July, which is crazy to me because it was just like yesterday that it was January. And we were well, not all of us, but some of us were complaining about how cold it was or the snow. And now we've got heat. Or how quickly I went from I had brown hair to I got a lot more gray. Yep. Feels like it just happened overnight. And I wanted to write down something that was like a truth that we could carry with us in our everyday lives. A reminder when we feel ourselves slipping back into the habit of waiting for the right time, or not using the good china, or not opening that bottle of wine until it's the right time to celebrate with that. I wanted to say that joy isn't a reward you earn at an imaginary finish line, and the future isn't guaranteed. Today is the main event. Use the good china for the messy days, because a life well lived leaves behind beautiful memories, not a closet full of saving for later. And I'm going to say it again because I think it deserves to be repeated. Joy isn't a reward you earn at an imaginary finish line. The future isn't guaranteed. Today is the main event. Use the good china on the messy days, because a life well lived leaves behind beautiful memories, not a closet full of saving for laters. The next time you find yourself putting off joy, waiting for the weekend, waiting for the bonus, the promotion, the birth, the graduation, the wedding, or for things just to be perfect, I want you to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself a filtering question. What joy am I putting off today for a future that isn't guaranteed? If you're saving something for a special occasion, let today be the occasion. Light the candle, pour your favorite drink, share the laugh. Allow yourself the dignity of enjoying the life you have actually built right now in this moment. As I already pointed out, somehow we're already towards the end of July. Life is entirely too short to spend it sitting in a waiting room that you created to be happy. If I die tomorrow, I don't want to leave behind pristine, untouched life that was perfectly preserved for a later date. Man, that sounds really sad, especially when you say it out loud. I want to leave behind a life with scuffed shoes, a completely empty bottle of the good stuff, and a legacy for my friends and family of someone who knew how to find a reason to smile on a random Tuesday. Practice lighting those candles this week, breaking out the fine china, celebrating the beautiful, messy in-between numbers. Thank you for spending time with me this week. Thank you for opening your hearts to have these conversations with me. Most of all, I want to celebrate you today in this moment. You mean the absolute world to me. As always, be kind, be grateful, stay humble. Till next time.